How are you guys doing? This is Martin from Gardens for Life and Birdland Homestead. So in this video I'm going to give you a full tour of our garden, and I'd like to invite you guys to come and see it in person. So we have free guided tours available on our website now. We're going to open up one date at a time, and we'll take 10 people at a time as well. So we're going to give a free guided tour which will take about 2 hours in total for any of you guys that want to come here. We're based near Roscommon town in Ireland. And it is a lovely time of the year now. It's long days, relatively warm as well. In the evening time it does get cool, but you can see even in the background here, growth is at an absolute maximum. And I'd like to show you the garden, which is about just over an acre here. For those of you who can't come here and see it in person, we're going to do a video tour here now, a virtual tour. So enjoy, and hopefully I won't keep you too long. The garden is definitely still a work in progress, and it's been ongoing for about 6 or 7 years almost. And let me know in the comments what you think of it, and please let me know if you have any questions, anything about no-day gardening or forest gardening in this particular video. Any feedback is welcome. Again, if you want to come here in person and go to one of our guided tours, which are free of charge, you can check our events page and book your spot. And if you'd like to support us, you can join us on our Patreon page or on our members page as well. If you become a member, you're going to have all kinds of different advantages, including our members only forum actually coming up. So the forum is basically a place where we want to create a community of like-minded gardeners who can exchange information and plant material as well. Plants, tubers and cuttings are available on our website as well. All support is highly appreciated, as always. Thank you. I can't help but give credit where credit is due. Of course, I didn't make all these gardens alone, so a lot of volunteers, my wife Bianca was helping too, and my son Jacob. And I'd like to thank all of you guys for helping me actually achieve this and to actually create this garden. And of course, last but not least, nature did 90% of the work. So we just basically put down the right foundation and let nature work away after that. And of course, a big thanks to all of our members and Patreons as well. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you supporting us. All right, let's go on the tour. We're going to start at the very beginning. So here we are, right at the gate, and we are not going to go this way. This is the garden here. We are going to go through the secret passageway, which is our front garden here. It is kind of a wildlife corridor, and we planted it for that purpose, but as we'd like to be part of the wildlife and actually forage a little bit, kind of like these raspberries here. This is our raspberry jungle, and this particular garden here, the very first garden, is definitely a bit of a jungle because it has rewilded. Look at the raspberries here. Hang on. It's not quite ready, but the birds will take it tomorrow. Pretty good. Although not quite ready. We don't mind the birds taking most of the raspberries this time of year. This is just about mid-July. And we'll have tons of raspberries in September if it's not going to be too rainy. These are apple trees, so we have lots of apple trees from Irish Seed Savers planted in this garden. Here are some of the salmon berries, curly willow, it's the white lilac, and here is our dog, one of them. She loves hunting around, or running around the garden, hunting for whatever she can find. This is a Sichuan pepper tree. Hoping to get some more seeds and grow some more of those. Again, our guided tour in person would be an awful lot more detailed than this, because I don't want to keep you for too long in the video. Here, Levi, come. Where are you? Good boy. You can look at the black currants here. And these are a good variety as well. We have our own variety called Birdland. It's actually sweeter than a half-ripe raspberry, but these are definitely grown in abundance here now throughout the garden. We have probably 200 different species of plants, or I should say varieties, on site here. I think Martin Crawford in Devon has a 2-acre forest garden, and there are 550 species. Look at the elderberry trees here. They're doing really well. I can smell the flowers from here for several weeks now. I think about 2 or 3 weeks these have been flowering, and you can see the little berries already developing here. Now, I'm not in a mad panic to collect these elderberries or elderflowers to make wine and cordial, because we've got American elders as well, so they flower actually until the end of the year, till October. So these trees were only planted here 3 years ago, out from a little cutting. Isn't that amazing? What an abundance. Excuse me. Excuse me. Levi, excuse me. Sometimes he's a little hesitant. Look at this. These willows here were planted here only 2.5 years ago now. So this is their 3rd growing season. They have not been mulched, so if you do mulch them, they'd be more like this. This side here was mulched, and they're much, much bigger. And this will be another corridor. It's going to connect to the other path on top. And I just want to show you here. This is what it looks like now. For those of you who helped us make this garden, volunteer at one of our mehels, thank you again. And just to show you what the place actually looks like now, after all these years, it definitely has rewilded, I should say, because of the weeds. They have taken over that garden, but I have neglected it last year. I'm getting on top of it, and I'm going to spread more wood chips. I'm going to use cardboard too. So this is one of our new gardens, a no-dig garden. Here is going to be a wood chip path, quite a wide one, so that we can connect it with our willow arch, which is here. This is another one of our hydrangeas. We grew that from cutting a couple of years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And this is also part of the new garden. Again, it's just mixed patches of different plants. And this area here is going to be a garden eventually. I just haven't got around to it yet, and I'm going to need more compost and cardboard for that matter. This is compost here that I got about a month ago. You can see it's already breaking down pretty nicely. And there's even the odd mushroom popping up too. These are courgette plants. They're just coming into production now. They're flowering. Hopefully we'll get some of you insects out here pollinating them. And this is the garden I made in April. Also a no-dig garden, and we have a video series. There were 7 videos on how this garden was made. It's called Starting a No-Dig Garden. You can check our playlist on YouTube or Odyssey or on our website. This is kind of a little bit of a viewpoint. This is where the wood chip pile used to be. Well, what's left of it, and I'm going to use what's left of it actually on the paths. And from here you can see quite a bit of the garden. This garden here I gave a tour only a week ago. But I might do a separate tour just of the new garden on its own. This corner here needs to be tidied up, and I'm going to spread some more wood chips on this path. So this is just a path mainly to block the weeds on the outskirts of the garden. So we always do like usually plastic and then cardboard and wood chips on top. Or we can just do smother the grass here with using plastic. That's what we did, and then we moved the plastic on to the outside of the garden, and then put down wood chips here, so that we kind of have a lot less ingress, a lot less weed pressure to deal with. Yeah, but if you come here in person, this is what you get to see. For those of you who have maybe skipped the first part, we are going to be running guided tours of our garden, and they'll be free of charge, but you do need to book a spot or two. If you're bringing a friend, you're gonna have to book 2 spots. This is the very back of the garden. You can see here, I just didn't really want to deal with these weeds, so I just covered them for now until next year, I'd say, just to make sure they're gone. This corner here couldn't quite reclaim it, and I have to cover this part here too, but it's okay because I didn't have quite enough compost here anyway to make much of a garden. But you can see just about as far as here, these are cultivated plants, and it's quite clean in between, and they are taking up the space now, so there is definitely a bit of canopy gardening going on here, where the entire garden is going to be covered. There's not much sunlight hitting the ground. Anyway, I'll give you a tour of this particular garden again next week, let's say, because we've done a tour of this garden in detail last week. So let's go back to this part of it. So I like to actually cover the weeds near the garden with plastic, and then get the pumpkin plants to actually vine on top, and any kind of vine plants, like even the mashuas as well. But pumpkins are ideal for that purpose, and then they take up the heat from the plastic too. This is the so-called sun garden. This garden is 3 years old now, and possibly 3.5 now. And this used to be a no-dig garden until I covered it all with wood chips because I was tired of weeding it. So now there's a lot less weeds, but also a lot less possibilities of growing, say, leafy greens and that kind of thing. But therefore I can grow mashuas, or ochas do fine here too, mashuas, and this is a tayberry, and raspberries. This one actually seeded itself here by the birds, and you can see here it's actually a nice variety, so I'm happy about that. Oh, what did I see here? I see a weed. What's the name of this weed? Could anyone tell me? I'm not sure, I can't remember. But I know it's a nuisance, not as much so as the bindweed or the creeping buttercup and the silverweed. This is a great mullein plant. It's also known as cowboy's toilet paper because the leaves are really soft. They're covered in hair, especially on the underside, you can see here, just to protect the plant from drying out in a windy, dry climate. It is a European plant. It's a native wildflower, and we have those also on the shop. We always send out free seeds collected from our own garden, and we give those to people at our seed swaps as well. This is catmint. Unfortunately, there's no cats out here. I was hoping the neighbours' cats from around all the neighbouring houses, the cats might come here if I plant some catmint. This is fennel that I planted here, just a bulb I planted. It's a 3-year-old bulb, and I planted it last winter, so only about 2 or 3 months ago, and it is growing very well, and it's going to flower and seed, and I'm hoping it'll actually self-seed now and spread itself a little bit. Oh, and we're back in this spot here. This garden here deserves a mention. There's a lot of beautiful plants here. Black lace elder, a few different rhubarb, and a walnut in the background here in the corner. So it's kind of like a little forest garden. It's getting very cozy now. These are our own black currants as well, Birdland black currants. We have a few of those actually available on the website. Look at this golden tower elder. Isn't it lovely? This is motherwort. It's going to flower now. I was doing a little bit of maintenance in order to be able to walk through the garden, especially the front garden, and this particular garden here. This is the woodchip island. We'll get to that. So this garden here, actually hang on, this is worth showing you too. Some of our rhubarb plants went to seed here, and look at the size of the leaves and the stalks too. Look at the amount of stalks you get. Those, I can't remember exactly how old they are. I think they're now 3 years old as well. As young as that, but we got a good yield off them even after the second year. Japanese wineberry and some comfrey in the background here. The insects are always mad for the comfrey. It's a great plant overall. I want to show you how thick this shelter belt has gotten. This is the willow shelter belt, and in the winter time it's going to be very barren, and we're going to cut it back in order to use the cuttings. You can see the wood here, and some of the wood gets a lot thicker. See that here? But this time of year now, so it's going to probably double in height yet. But I want to show you how dense it gets in the shelter belt this time of year. Look at this, just a random spot. And take a look at that. I mean, it's really kind of definitely getting more cozy in the garden, but also a lot less wind, and therefore it's less cold as well when the time comes. When it's going to get colder, I'm not going to be quite as cold here if you can block the wind. But it's very productive, these willows. Those are 5 years old now, those willow trees. And look at the amount of production here. Look, if I just fold that over. And we're not there yet. That's just one tree. I'll make some more videos about willows a little bit later in the year when they grow bigger. I've got a lot of aronia berries that I planted here 4 and 5 years ago. Oh yeah, this one here is not an aronia. I think that's called fireweed, I'm not sure. Or maybe it's willow herb. But I don't want it anyway. How are you? What are you up to? Levi? What are you up to? You the camera cleaning crew. No kisses, thank you. You're a good boy, aren't you? You're a good boy. Continue. He always follows me around. The other one is more hunting in the forest, looking for rodents. So this is actually mainly mashua, actually. That's tuberous nasturtium. It's got a lovely leaf, actually. Hang on, here they are. Well, it looks just like a nasturtium. And it is related, I believe. However, this is not spicy like the nasturtium leaves, so it's a nice flavour, nice texture, and those make for a good salad green, basically for most of the growing season. And the tubers are edible too, but those are extremely spicy. I have them growing up the shelter belt here, the willows, and they're going to reach the very top. And it's very productive to let the mashua climb. I find they produce about 2 or 3 times as many tubers that you can harvest in the winter if you let it climb. Even if it's north facing, that's fine, but it just wants to climb. Apparently it doesn't really like taking up horizontal space. It wants to definitely climb towards the light. These are raspberries that have come from our raspberries over here. And there's an awful lot of them. An awful lot of berries here. You can see the birds have already been at them. There is not one here that's almost ripe. Guess it's a good place for birds to land, a safe place. Again, no cats around here, so this is Kamikamiai, the willow. It's a very nice one. It's kind of quite tropical looking. And again, comfrey. So again, This is actually the entrance again, so we've just kind of gone all the way around on that part of the garden. Now let's go to this half. So this is Jerusalem artichokes. These are white fusau, no, sorry, white truffles, red fusau, and again white truffles here. So a few different varieties of Jerusalem artichoke, and these are some weeds here. I didn't really want to deal with it, so I simply covered most of them. And this part here has still got some potatoes and arugula or rocket salad in it here. It's really spicy, especially in gardens that have a healthy soil life, but also some minerals like volcanic rock dust. And here we have a mixed garden here. There used to be paths, but now it has basically self-seeded, and I don't mind if the good plants take over the place. This is a special variety of wood mallow. It's really nice, and it keeps coming back. It's a short-lived perennial, but this one has been at least 3 years old now anyway. There's a big feverfew plant right here. I did not plant that there, that came by itself. Some poppies, lots of raspberries. Raspberries are everywhere. I think if I left this acre here alone, I think I'd end up with an acre of raspberries after a few years. These are Japanese wineberries, and our son Jacob will be looking forward to eating some of them. We're always looking forward to them. They're like a tiny small little sticky raspberry with a different flavour. The lupin plant has fallen over, but it is producing seed, so we're happy about that. This entire garden here is extremely productive, but again, it's not as tidy as I'd like it to be, because there are some culprits in between, and those will spread if you don't take care of them. I did have to go through here and selectively weed things. The dogs love it. Nina, what you up to? So this particular garden here is just basically a wildlife garden with a few leafy greens in between, like the Taunton Dean kale. And it's quite ornamental too. I'm going to plant some Daubenton, that's the white variegated kale. It's even more ornamental. I'm going to plant some of those in between as well. This area here I'm not particularly proud of. This is, there's always been nettles here and they've kind of spread, so I might just cover those because I've got nettles in other places in the garden. I do want to keep them on site, however I don't want an acre of nettles. So we have Chinese artichoke here. Again, these are elephant garlic, and I'm going to actually harvest that soon as these leaves go pretty much completely dry, and that'll be probably in a week or so. And I'm going to dry those in the greenhouse, and then I'm going to offer those on the website for you. You can also reserve those already for yourself if you want to. We have elephant garlic and orphrey and some different perennial onions available. This is quite a forest here. These are jostaberry in the foreground, and we have salmonberry and more jostaberry in the background. Let me see here if there's any berries. This is an apple tree that we grew. We grafted it ourselves. You can see here. There's a few of them here. It was definitely a learning curve. Grafting is not that easy, especially if you're using the knife. I would highly recommend using the Opinel knives. Those are just kind of a wooden handle, and they're a French knife and they're really sharp. They're carbon steel, and you can graft trees with them. And this is a comfrey corner, and see the yellow flowers here, actually the red Russian kale going to seed. So here there are some other varieties of, beautiful varieties of elder and giant catmint. Look, that's one plant. Look at that, it's like 2 meters in diameter, probably about the same in height. This is the orphrey, so these are a bulbous leek. You can see the bulbs already down here. They're really nice to eat. They're really like mild, kind of a half onion, half leek flavour, and without the spiciness. And we have some elephant garlic, Egyptian walking onions in the background. and some potato onions here, and white comfrey. And a bee is looking for some nectar. This little garden used to be less productive than it is now, because we used to have potted plants here, so I didn't really want to take care of too many potted plants anymore. I'm only going to do a few every year, and mainly just to have something to be able to set up a new garden during the summer, or something to give away or sell as well. So here's some white currants and some purple tree spinach in between. Really nice plant. It's such a delicious leaf actually, and especially if you fry it in the frying pan. Just saute it for basically 1 minute and that's it. And then you eat it, you can put some cheddar on it. So I'm looking forward to my favourite breakfast actually. Along with some rashers and sausages probably. This is Jerusalem artichokes. So these are 3 different varieties here. And we always mix them like white, red, white, so that we know the difference, so we can tell which variety is which. Again, people think they're super invasive. They're not. They haven't spread out to here, not at all, or out to here. They basically just clump along, kind of like clumping bamboo, which you can see here. I mean, they're coming out a little bit, but I just harvest them along the edge and that's it. I'm not really trying to stop them from growing, but like the path has not really gotten any narrower here. So if you do want to get Jerusalem artichokes, these are tuberous sunflower, just make sure you plant them somewhere permanent. That's what I always say to people. They're perennial, they'll grow forever. You know, you basically can't get rid of it, and unless you eat them all, I guess. But if you are trying to keep it forever, it's actually probably the most reliable food crop there is, at least here in the Irish climate. There is no natural pests, no blight or anything like that, and it doesn't matter what kind of climate it is. At least for the last 10 years anyway, I've had them. They grow non-stop. They grow and produce, and I've planted these here probably 4 years ago now, I believe it was. You can look up the videos on planting and harvesting Jerusalem artichokes, and you'll see this corner here being planted. And I have not actually even topped up the compost, or I have not replanted them at all. They just keep regrowing year after year, and I harvest them. I just keep harvesting them and they keep popping up. So I might just feed them a little bit this year, and in the winter time I'm probably going to throw some compost on top, a couple of inches or 3. All right, let's go this way. Look at this. This is a giant poppy. Look at all the seed heads here. They're even quite decorative. Okay, we'll keep moving, because I think hope we're not going to run out of space on the SD card. Take a look at the amount of berries here. Look at that. It's unreal. Every branch is heavy with berries. And look at this. Red currants. Wow. Well, little Jacob will be delighted that there is red currants again. Let me see here, because there is another red currant bush in the other garden. Not ready yet, but the black currants are. And the way you know that the berry is definitely ready, not only does it have to go completely black or red, or white in the case of a white currant, but you have to make sure that it's soft. Each individual berry, you have to actually feel them before you pick it. So unfortunately, I took most of them here now. The stalk came off, but like these ones are not quite ready, so I'm not going to eat them. Any berries that I drop onto the ground, actually, I don't bother picking them up. I always think like, I just say they are there for the insects that can't climb the berry bush. So let's try it. Oh, it's nice. It's good, sweet. It's hard to find a variety of blackcurrant that's not sour. Look at this place. This is actually a giant great mullein plant, and look at that for flower stalk. Really looking forward to even August or the end of July. It's going to be really beautiful here, and it's very relaxing to be out here rather than sitting at a desk answering the phone for somebody else. And I'm glad I went full time on the garden, because it's a lot more meaningful than working in IT, which I have done for over 20 years. And I tell you one thing now, I don't regret having started a garden. Starting a garden can definitely create an abundance of living capital, and you can always convert that capital into some other form of capital. You can look up the 8 forms of capital on YouTube. It's really interesting. This is Paulownia tree. So there's 2 of them here, and it's really quite beautiful, and it's going to have huge leaves a little bit later in the year. One time when it's really hot, it actually makes the leaves even bigger. I guess it depends on the weather and the temperatures in general. So all these little niches in this garden. This is the elephant garlic and orphrey here again. Now I'm going to squeeze by. I haven't quite gotten to this part yet, so we'll go this way now. This is a marshmallow plant right here. We have some of these too on our website. Really soft leaves, full of mucilage, great for tea and thickening soups. This is a pear tree. Hello, you following us? How are you? You're a good boy. Do I need to charge your GPS tag? No, you've never run away. Good boy. They're only young yet, so I'd rather not take a chance and have a GPS on them. And this is the pineapple mint. It's quite nice, and it brightens up the garden a little bit too. And this is the wood chip island. This is the oldest garden on site. There's some fruit trees here and an oak tree surrounded by goji, actually. These are Portuguese kale seeds. And here we have the flowering currant here. Flowers can be used in late spring or early summer. They can be used to make wine, and it's really nice actually. We made one. And the Egyptian mint here. It's also known as the round leaf mint. It's a nice flavour, but I prefer the old Moroccan mint or the chocolate mint. And we have 16 varieties of mint actually now, and most of them are available on our website. This is the aronia again. We haven't gotten to propagate those yet. We just bought a bunch of them and planted them here and there, and they are getting quite substantial. And so you can see here, well, the dogs were actually digging here, but in general you can see the wood chips are nearly done. So they have broken down. Look at that, there's just compost. So what happens is the 6 inches of wood chips that we put down on top of the 6 inches of compost here about 5 years ago have dissolved. The soil life has eaten them, so we're going to replenish them. You can see the odd weeds popping up here, but it's not too bad, like thistles and nettles and stuff. Creeping buttercup. These are actually tuberous peas, and I planted these here a long time ago, like 4 or 5 years ago, and they are still growing, so that's nice. There's a bit of blackcurrant as well. Pretty good. Definitely the healthy sweet anyway. I always have a sweet tooth anyway. I eat way too many carbs anyway in general, don't we all? And definitely I don't mind going around in the summer and eating a few berries here and there, if I can find a ripe one. Nope. Look at this. Sticky Mickey, we call that. In County Galway anyway. Or Roscommon as well. So this is actually a birch. Look at how the bark is actually white towards the bottom. Look at that. And this tree actually planted itself here. It must have just been a wind-borne seed, or maybe it came off a bird. It's really nice, so we're keeping it. We'll keep it. This is American elder. It's starting to flower now, so it'll flower from midsummer to the end of October. And we're going to have a lot of flowers here. No panic, I have like another 4 months to make some wine and cordials. So it's actually got a nice flavour too, a kind of a vanilla flavour. And these are again the Japanese wine berries and sea buckthorn. So there is a lot of plants here. I mean, you know, an in-person tour is always going to be probably 2 hours. It could be longer. We could spend more than 2 hours at it, but this is actually feverfew, forgot to say, Taunton Dean, and again sea buckthorn. Some of these places here I need to tidy up. I just didn't get around to it. There definitely has been a major effort though this year in cleaning up the whole place, especially since I have more time to do it. This is our little bit of a picnic area to sit down and have a cup of tea and stuff. And here's some grapes in the tunnel. We have Chinese potatoes. They're actually perennial, these potatoes, so they grow for 3 years plus. The Mount Asa willow, hopefully we get some pink flowers here in the spring. Giant goji berry bush. I wouldn't call it a berry bush though, because it doesn't actually produce berries. Not this particular variety anyway, and we have tried 5 different varieties. These are the Madeira vine, and again that's actually got a really nice leaf to eat too. Let me try that. Very crunchy leaf, kind of like spinach, and it's a tiny bit slimy, but apparently if you cook it that goes away. But I don't mind it, it's actually really nice, and it's probably really good for your digestive system as well. Kind of like a slippery elm or that type of thing. Alright, so this is the salt bush. I had to cut that back because it was taking over the place and it almost killed my lemon verbena. Charles, if you're watching this from the Bull on Ark in Galway, this is what's left of the giant lemon verbena that I planted here about 3 years ago. I think I got it off Charles, I believe I did. These are brown turkey figs and they are very productive, and I'm going to be able to use these branches here as propagation material soon. These are some other varieties of figs, and one of them is actually kind of going ripe here. It's really productive, and a lot of people have been asking me, how do you get your figs to fruit? The trees are growing, but they're not fruiting. Well, I didn't have to do anything here. I didn't restrict the roots or nothing. I simply just didn't water them at all, basically twice a year. And it's really dry in here. I mean, you can see here there's no doors in this tunnel, and there's none on the other side either. So there's a lot of wind coming through, so there's no mold, but at the same time it dries out too quick. And so basically they are fruiting because they're stressed, I'd say, same as any tree. This area here, actually these are some more figs, different varieties here, Black Mission, different ones now from Persia in America. These are some seeds. I'm starting here, and I have some great mullein seeds here that I need to actually process. Pack a few trays here and put some seeds in it. My bar stool, which is really handy, but I can't leave it outside because it's made of foam and a cloth. But it's really comfortable for sitting out here and actually producing some of these plants here. There's just a little nursery here, so when I'm expanding the garden, I can simply pick a few plants up from here and just plant them. So that's what I do to basically make a new garden very quickly and simply populate it with some new plants. So all these plants here actually are available on our website. So if you want to take a look, please do. That concludes our tour, and if you're still here watching, thank you. And if you'd like to support us, you can join our members support community, and that is available on gardensforlife.ie/members, and our Patreon channel is also available as well for those of you over there. And we also have an online shop where you can avail of a lot of the plants that you've seen in this video. And if you'd like to come here and see the garden in person, we are running some free guided tours over the summer. So please sign up on our events page. Just click the link at the very top on the events page and you'll get there. So hope to see lots of you here, and we're looking forward to meeting some of you fellow gardeners and to give you a chance to see the garden in full bloom and in person. So thank you again, and we'll see you the next time. Hopefully you enjoyed this little tour. Bye bye. All right, good boy. Camera lens cleaning service. Come on, give us a wrestle. Come on. These dogs love this garden. And the kids love it too. The young fella be running around, hiding in the bushes. All right, bye bye. See you later.